Hello and welcome to another week of the House of Wellness. And I have to say, team, at one of my favourite locations by the beach.
Oh, look, I'm with you, Das. I love the sea. Doesn't matter the weather, but particularly I love the sea air. And there's something about it. It always makes me sleep really well, Dr. Nick. Is there something in that?
It's a great question, Joe, but scientists don't actually really know. I mean, there are people who believe that it's something to do with the negative ions, the salts and the ozone that you breathe in from sea air. Now, I reckon it's more that we exercise a bit more down by the beach and also the sound of those waves and the water. It's so relaxing. It's got to be good, hasn't it?
Well, whatever works, I think, because the stats on Aussies and sleep aren't great. Around 40% of us don't get between 7 and 9 hours of sleep a night, and around 15% of us suffer from some kind of chronic sleep disorder.
Which is why today we go in search for the perfect night's shut-eye.
And we'll sort out fact from fiction when it comes to melatonin. Now, that's the hormone that regulates our body clocks. And, Darcy, it might be one of the reasons why you sleep better after a day at the beach.
Good point, Nick. I'm keen to explore that more. And Luke Hines goes above and beyond the call of duty today on the House of Wellness with a Korean enzyme bath. And I'm here to tell you, no water involved in that bath.
One of my favourite things today too, fashion. The Melbourne Fashion Festival is on, and of course Jacqui is front and centre.
Well, sleep issues have been tagged as the new public health giant, and without jumping on board the fear-mongering, some say we're in the middle of a sleep crisis. Dr. Nick, is this true? And why now? Why is this suddenly what everyone's talking about?
Well, it's a great question, Joe, and people have actually been asking me about their sleep problems ever since I've been in practice, which is now a terrifyingly long time. But I think it is more common these days. I think two things: the rise of devices intruding at the end of the day, and I don't think COVID helped at all. But sleep still is quite an enigma. I mean, we spent a third of our lives doing it, and we know we feel terrible physically and mentally if we don't get enough. But actually, we still don't really know what that's all about.
Well, Nick, Flinders University Sleep Institute in South Australia is undertaking some groundbreaking new trials, and those results are actually part of a new TV series. And actually, some of the results are quite amazing for those that took part, Does.
And, Jack, some of the results coming through are quite revealing. It's led by British health guru Dr Michael Mosley, who's a chronic insomniac himself. He's taken part in the study along, Joe, with some of our federal politicians who, it turns out, don't sleep that well.
Well, you know what I really love is he puts himself in his experiments, and the SBS series is called Australia's Sleep Revolution. And I can't wait to see what Michael Mosley does for his own insomnia, because, you know, he did cure his own diabetes with diet and lifestyle changes. So it'll be very interesting.
Well, not being able to sleep, I think, is one thing, but imagine being half awake and then walking in your sleep. Well, for those who do, it can be frightening and also very dangerous. Fresh out of high school, Abby Sizer scored her dream job working as a dairy farmer in northern Victoria.
It was between 8 and 16, sometimes 20 hours a day, 6 days a week. And it was very hard work. It was very strenuous, but I loved it.
But Abby's farming career came to a grinding halt as a result of a life-threatening accident that occurred just over a year ago. And it all happened while she was fast asleep.
So I was staying at a mate's place for the night, and I'd never stayed there before. It was a new environment. I went to sleep earlier than everybody else because I had a massive day at work, and it got to about midnight. I went to bed and they stayed up, you know, doing their own thing, and I apparently got up when they were getting into bed, and I've mumbled to them that I need to go milk the cows.
Before any of her friends could work out what was happening, Abby sleepwalked out a large second-storey window, falling nearly 5 metres and shattering her pelvis and multiple vertebrae.
The first thing I remember is basically being in the ambulance, and I had no idea what happened. I had to call my friend that was there, and she said that I sleepwalked out the window, and I just could not believe it.
Although she has no memory of what happened, Abby soon developed a theory that she had been acting out her work-inspired dreams, imagining that she was stepping through a door rather than a window. But sleep physician Dr Gulsa Adami is eager to put this common misconception about sleepwalking to bed.
So sleepwalking occurs in the deepest stage of your sleep, but it's the non-REM stage of sleep. So dreaming occurs in the REM cycle, and this condition is thought to occur outside of that particular cycle of sleep. So with sleepwalking, the motor part of your brain is often activated, but the conscious part of your brain is not. So half of your brain is active and the other half is still sleeping. That comes into the sleepwalking and being able to perform simple tasks that a lot of people have done repetitively, and your brain can adapt to that and perform those tasks, but at the same time, it is still asleep as well. Typically, things that occur during sleepwalking is walking outside the room and walking to the kitchen. Often the kitchen's a main area that people walk to, probably related to the fact that we do that often throughout the day. But also there's patients that do more complicated or complex tasks.
So I've been sleepwalking since I could walk. I've been sleepwalking. You can have a conversation with me in my sleep, and sometimes like my dad will walk in and he just sees me having a laughing fit and he has no idea what's going on. I've been told that I just get up and go to the kitchen, get a glass of water, put it on the bench, don't drink it and leave it there. That I've gone to go get food and Mum just takes it straight off me and goes, go to bed. I've noticed that I have remade my bed in the middle of the night, but I usually have no memory of it.
What factors contribute to sleepwalking?
Yeah, there's lots of risk factors I guess we can allocate to sleepwalking. Genetics is an important component, but probably the most important part of sleepwalking is sleep deprivation. And we talk about total sleep time and making sure you have enough sleep all the time. And we all lead extremely busy lives. It's always not, the easiest advice to give people or for people to actually take on board, but it's probably one of the most important components of sleepwalking that is an important part of management. Other things that can also contribute is alcohol consumption. So that's a huge part of the history that we look at. Illnesses can contribute to sleepwalking and also medications.
Why is it more common in children?
Excellent question. So it has to do essentially with the development of the brain. That's the main theory behind why we think sleepwalking is more common. So in children, there's a lot happening. They're growing up and they're taking in a lot of information. In addition to this, believe it or not, children are thought to be under more stress and have conditions that can cause them more anxiety. And that can be related to learning, to changes in school, exams for some people. So I would say sleepwalking is not a mental health condition, but mental health can impact it.
And do you often hear about people having a physical accident as part of their sleepwalking condition?
Yes, fortunately not a lot of the time, and fortunately the injuries that people often sustain are mild, but this becomes an extremely important part of our management and what we talk to patients about. So both your sleep hygiene and your sleep environment is extremely important. And what I mean by that is ensuring that your bedroom is not cluttered, making sure your bedside table, there's no big lamps around, and ensuring that your surrounding environment is safe. Sometimes people also may use alarms or triggers to try and help with things, and particularly in children, parents might often put bells on the door so they're woken up and they're aware that the child is sleepwalking and they can safely assist them.
So the impact that this has had on my life is quite crazy. I try and make it look like I'm all good and that I'm a tough cookie, and that nothing really bothers me, and I'm trying to have a really positive outlook, and that helps a lot. But physically, there's a lot of things that I can't do. Like I can't bend over and I can't walk too far, I can't sit for too long or stand up for too long. I get very uncomfortable very easily. I just try and keep as positive as I can, and I know that a lot of people are so surprised about my attitude, but I just try and be very resilient and grateful for what I still have, because I might not have had any of it if I'd landed any different.
I can relate to that story, Joe. It's not uncommon to have our two younger boys wandering around the house at night sleepwalking.
Amazing.
It's pretty disconcerting, I have to say.
Oh, absolutely terrifying. Although I always say you have to sleep to be able to sleepwalk, don't you think, Jack?
I'd love to sleep. And it turns out sleep, or lack thereof, is really keeping Aussies up at night. The latest data shows that around half of all Australian adults suffer from two kinds of sleep problem.
Yeah, and when it comes to the late teens, over half are not meeting their sleep guidelines on the school nights when it really matters.
And the internet's got to be a part of that, Nick, isn't it? We are pretty new in the internet age. Phones in the bedrooms, massive problem, isn't it?
I reckon you're right there, Das, because, of course, we evolved to walk out of the cave in the morning at sunrise into the natural light, bang, switch off the melatonin. At the end of the day, back into the cave in the dark, melatonin rises, signalling to our bodies it's time to go to sleep.
Oh, melatonin, it's a very handy hormone, but with so many Australians reaching for melatonin as the possible cure for their sleep issues, experts warn, handle with care.
So to understand how melatonin affects us, we first need to know what it is. And quite simply, it's a hormone. It's a chemical that's released from a small gland in the brain called the pineal gland. And its key role is to regulate our internal body clocks, what we call the circadian rhythm. All cells in the body change their function according to a 24-hour cycle through the night and day. And they all have internal clocks. And melatonin acts as a messenger to the brain and the rest of the body to synchronise these clocks and let us know that it's night time when it's being secreted, and also that it's daytime when light exposure switches off melatonin production. So to understand how melatonin helps us sleep, we firstly have to understand how we sleep. And we sleep because of two interactive physiological processes. Firstly, there's what we call the homeostatic sleep system, and basically that's sleep debt. So the longer we are awake, the more tired and eventually more sleepy we will get, and that's what will send us off to sleep. And that interacts with our internal body clock, the circadian rhythm. And melatonin plays a key role in the timing of the circadian rhythm. And then if we give melatonin additional to that, it augments the natural circadian processes. So sometimes people ask whether melatonin is a sleeping tablet, and it is different to the traditional sleeping tablets that are certainly more potent at switching off the waking mechanisms or knocking us out into sleep. Melatonin acts differently. It is a natural brain hormone, and it acts by focusing on our natural sleep mechanisms. It potentially can help break the cycle of a bad sleeping pattern, either by resynchronising your body clock or through its hypnotic effect if someone is sensitive to that. But there are better ways to improve your sleep, and in particular behavioural strategies are the important aspects for most people with insomnia to focus on. The best treatment for insomnia is a coordinated range of behavioural-based therapies known as cognitive behavioural therapy for insomnia, or CBTI. And CBTI is well proven to be as or more effective than sleeping tablets in the short term, but in the long term it's much better because it essentially deals with the underlying cause of the insomnia, and it also retrains our brains to sleep more normally and naturally. In the short term, melatonin is safe, so side effects are generally low. It doesn't tend to cause dependence or withdrawal. In the long term, it's a little bit more uncertain. So it's probably safe. However, we don't really have the data to say that. There hasn't been enough systematic research into its long-term effects and safety.
Jack, one thing that keeps a lot of people up at night is the buzz and the sting of mosquitoes, but I'm in that category where mosquitoes literally don't ever bite me.
Well, you'd be the only one, so good on you. But you know what? Most of the mosquitoes that do the biting are actually female. And did you know what? Research suggests that they actually prefer to bite men over women.
And mosquitoes also prefer pregnant women over non-pregnant women. And a lot of the things we thought were a big factor, like our body odour, blood type and food, don't count for a lot. Turns out that the amount of carbon dioxide gas that we exhale and the microbes on our skin are more important in terms of attracting mosquitoes.
Well, maybe, Das, men and pregnant women just exhale more of the stuff that mozzies like, or maybe there's just more of you to sting.
That is a fair point you make.
Coming up, Heinzie takes a sauna with living enzymes right after this.
Today we're talking all about sleep, or the lack of it. I don't know about you, Joe, I actually sleep pretty well.
Lucky you.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know, when the kids were little and it was broken nights were up multiple times, I was so exhausted. I actually used to sleep well, and I think that's just carried on to this day.
Well, you're very fortunate because there's no doubt that the nighttime routine can be extremely stressful for many families. And guess what? There's a study into this, Nick.
There's always a study.
There's always a study. So the top 3 pressures of dinner time for Aussie families are...
Don't give it to me, come on.
That's right, it's cooking and prep time. It's being too exhausted to be bothered, hello, or it's the cleaning up afterwards.
Well, I'm lucky, Joe, because I do most of the cooking, so I'm off the hook when it comes to the cleaning up.
You are very fortunate that way. Well, so those top 3 are a part of the top 10 pressures commissioned in a survey by Australian Eggs. I know, it's important. And speaking of eggs, did you know that Australians now eat 18.9 million eggs a day?
18.9 million. Well, you've got to love an egg. I mean, give me a bit of onion, garlic and chilli, a Sri Lankan omelette. Yes.
Delicious.
Beautiful. But talking of cooking, this week Heinz is turning up the heat as he's sharing a sauna with literally millions of others.
So when you hear the word fermentation, you instantly think of food and drink, right? Pickles, sauerkraut, wine. But what if I told you that there was a treatment that actually ferments the body? Sounds crazy? Well, tucked away down this little laneway in the heart of Melbourne CBD is the very first cedar enzyme bath in the country. And when I say bath, well, there's no water involved, just bucket loads of enzymes designed to, well, ferment. Jane, can you describe what is the experience?
You will feel like I'm gonna bury you into the sand, hot sand, and then you will get sweat like crazy in 5 to 10 minutes time. From there, you can feel like an exercise, heartbeat goes higher, a little bit hard to breathe, and then depends on how long you can stay in there, from like beginning of 15 minutes up to 30 minutes, 40 minutes.
What are you burying me in?
It's an enzyme made of sawdust, active carbon, and water and rice bran mixed, and a few herbs in there.
So it's a bath, but no water.
No water, but you sweat like crazy. Okay. Yeah, I'll get you lie down here.
Like that? The cedar enzyme bath was originally a Japanese practice, but maintaining the balance of ingredients and ongoing maintenance saw it drop off, before the Koreans took over, where it's now popular for treating all kinds of skin conditions like acne and eczema, even hair loss. Let me tell you, there's nothing modern about this process. It's steeped in ancient wellness techniques.
Luke, how are you feeling?
It's very different to anything I've ever experienced, Jane.
I'm just gonna wipe off your sweat.
Okay.
Let me know if you feel...
Is this mixture fermented?
Yes, with the right recipe, it creates the heat with the wavelength.
What temperature does it get to?
Minimum 55 up to 70 degree.
Is it similar to a sauna?
No, actually, sauna temperature will be normally 40 to 45 or up to 50 around, but 50 with the sauna temperature, you feel really hot. But with this enzyme, although it goes normally in between 60 to 70, you feel like 40 to 43.
Where does the heat come from?
When the enzyme breaks down the peptide, that creates by itself with microorganism. It's the peptide. Look, now I'll get you out now. You can lift up your knee, pull up your knee.
While I've been laying here buried up to my neck and sweating like you wouldn't believe, the thought about hygiene comes to mind. But Jane assures me that because the temperature is so high, up around 70 degrees, it kills any bacteria in the mix. The enzymes are treated after every session to reactivate them and replaced once a month. What's the response been so far?
From my clients, very unique, very interesting. That's the biggest. And then, wow, it was difficult. I thought it's relaxing, but not. Okay, slowly. Wait for a second. See if yourself is feeling dizzy.
I feel very, very, very warm. Wow.
No dizzy?
No, and I'm wet to the bone. No dizzy. No dizzy. A little bit dirty.
Well,
No dizzy. I've got to be totally honest and tell you that being buried alive isn't at the top of my wellness to-do list. And that's what I find so fascinating about this particular treatment, is that it really treads that fine line between something that's about wellness and relaxation, but equally about challenging yourself and pushing your body somewhere that it's never been. And that's what I loved about it. At first, I was so nervous, I can get quite claustrophobic, but I learnt the act of surrendering. And once I did surrender and connect with my breath, I actually loved the experience, the pressure on my body, how wet I feel, the immense sweat that I felt beating down my face, even those itches that I couldn't quite scratch. But if you're just a little bit curious about mixing up what wellness and detoxifying looks like for you, then this is the treatment that you've got to try.
Sleep is, of course, an essential part of our health, and it seems global tech giants agree. Samsung has developed a smartwatch that can detect sleep apnea, and it's been approved for use in the US. And other tech giants like Apple are also working on similar watches, so you can expect to see more smartwatches in relation to sleep on the market soon. We're back after this. Hey, Darcy, you know that term when you're lured towards something dangerous, like a moth to the flame?
I haven't got a problem with moths at all, Jack. Happy to get them out and relocate them out of the house. Not in the category of mosquitoes, which are a nightmare, of course.
It's very nice of you. Well, it turns out that the moth isn't actually attracted to, say, a fire or artificial light. In fact, as it flies past, it gets trapped by it.
Yeah, I think their natural instinct is to go towards the brightest source, which was historically moonlight. But now with all the lights on Earth, you see moths getting caught in that endless loop of flying around a light or some type of globe.
You are a font of information, Darcy.
I am today.
You are. Well, speaking of bright lights, here's House of Wellness pharmacist Naomi Perry to take us through what happens when you get a prescription.
There's legal requirements as a pharmacist to check to make sure that the prescription is legal. The other aspect is making sure that the medication is safe and appropriate. So if it is new, we need to make sure that the dose is correct, the scheduling, the duration, the medication is being used for the right condition. There could be a scenario that there is a medication that might not be appropriate for the patient, or with up-to-date evidence, there might be a treatment option that's available that is new and more appropriate for the patient. And in that case, we would call the GP, have a chat to them and find out if they're happy to switch over to that new medication. So if it's a new medication, asking your pharmacist about what the medication is, what kind of condition you're treating, what options are available, what formulations are available, asking the pharmacist what time of day to take the medication and if it needs to be taken with or without food, letting your pharmacist know about any other medications that you're taking, just in case there's any drug interactions, and what side effects to be monitoring. And if you do experience those side effects, what should we do about it? It's the same thing in a nutshell. They've gone through the same number of tests to make sure that it works the same way in the body. The only thing that I would say in terms of the difference, number one, it's cheaper, which is really great. And number two, it can have different fillers and preservatives. That is one of the reasons why pharmacists ask if you do have any allergies to medications. So if you do have an allergy to any preservatives or fillers, that is something to keep in mind. Some patients do find that they feel a little bit different on a different brand, and that might be individualised due to the inactive ingredients. And everybody is different, so if you do feel like there is a particular brand of medications that is making you feel different, have a chat with your healthcare professional.
Earlier, we looked at melatonin and how it can prepare the brain for sleep, and we saw how artificial light can confuse moths. But it's not just moths, because artificial light can also mess with our body clock, which is why we're always telling people get off those screens an hour or more before bedtime.
Well, it's almost like scrolling TikTok endlessly. It's really not the thing that's going to get you in that zen-like sleep state. And here we are once again talking about the pitfalls of mindless scrolling. We seem to do that a bit.
We do, don't we, Jo? And it's not just about bedtime, because it's been shown that a quarter of all uni students will cross busy roads and intersections glued to their screens. I mean, it's crazy. It's so dangerous. Not to mention the other physical effects, the slumped shoulders, the head down. I mean, posture's just out the window.
I will admit that I have looked at my phone at inappropriate times,
Surely
Nick,
not.
but not crossing the street. Kids, chin up, look at the world, cross safely. That's what we're saying.
Quite right.
Speaking of putting our best foot forward safely, here's trainer Vicky Little.
Squatting is something we do every day and don't even think about it. Bending down to pick something up, sitting on the toilet, getting up out of a chair. So strengthening the muscles that do the work will make life so much easier. For a start, there's the quads. There's 4 quad muscles that protect the knee and support leg extensions. You can build mass in the quads by slowing down the movement and squatting to the full range of motion. And by that, I mean really sitting down into that squat. Then there's the glutes. These are the largest muscles in the body and carry enormous power. Strong glutes equals a strong lower body and greater stability. And after a few of these, you'll start to feel those glutes really switch on. Hamstring muscles start at the hip and run down to the knee. They flex the legs for walking, jogging, any exercise. So strengthening them means less risk of a tear, more flexibility, and yep, squats are perfect for building them up. And if you want more leg power, then squatting is great for the calves and ankle stability. It does more than just static calf exercises. This is your all-in-one powerhouse move. It burns calories, improves mobility, puts a spring in your jump, and even turns on the hormones that build bone density. And if you're wondering how many, just start with whatever you can do. And in no time, you'll be squatting like a pro.
I love this time of year with the changing leaves and the days getting cooler. Plus, right now, 2 major events are kicking off. The world-class Melbourne Fashion Festival and my favourite, the Good Friday Appeal. We take you behind the scenes of both up next.
Jo, it's Easter time. So what's your favourite thing to do? Is it go away? Is it eat lots of chocolate?
It's all about hot cross buns for us. It's just a reason to use butter, as much butter as I can. Why wouldn't you? And what about you and the girls?
We'll be heading away down the coast just for the 4 days. It'll be beautiful.
Absolutely lovely. Well, my favourite Easter event every year is the Good Friday Appeal, which, of course, raises important funds for Melbourne's Royal Children's Hospital and the incredible work that they do.
And one of the really important parts of the appeal is, of course, the run for the kids. And anyone who's done it, I've done it for many years, it's just such an incredible event and the whole city really gets behind it, Jo.
Well, this year I'll be joining a determined team from Chemist Warehouse, along with 20,000 other people as we hit the Melbourne streets this Sunday. Here they are, getting prepped and pepped.
How has the Run Club grown or changed since the early days?
It's grown quite a bit. I mean, you know, we've started from like 3 or 4 guys got together now that can swell to about 50 on some weekends. So there's a good crew running around the streets with us every week.
We're all training for the Run for the Kids event, raising valuable funds for the Good Friday Appeal and the Royal Children's Hospital. Why is this such an important event?
Well, the Children's Hospital is such an important facility, and we've got 20,000 staff Australia-wide. More than half of the staff are here in Victoria, and you don't realise how important it is until you really need it. And we've got dozens of families that have used the services of the Children's Hospital. And, you know, real case example is our very own Rafi, the grandson of our CEO. He fell sick a few years ago when the Children's Hospital was that family that they could go to every week, get treatment. And, you know, it's our responsibility to make sure that, you know, it remains a first-class facility.
How
how'd you get involved in the Chemist Warehouse Run Club?
So I started running after my second daughter was born, and I came back to work, was running around work, and someone said to me that we've got a run club, and here we are.
I realised they had a group running, and I thought I'll start walking because I wasn't a runner. And then week after week, I started running.
Originally, I started the run club with Murray Tasconi about 3 years ago. So from day one, I've been involved and I've loved it.
Any tips for training?
Don't complicate things. Just get some simple shoes, something comfortable. Be a hero of your own movie.
As a mum, I've experienced the incredible staff at Royal Children's Hospital, so to be part of it and to be able to raise money for sick kids and their families is really special.
How can we donate?
Well, they can donate direct at the Run for Kids website and also through Chemist Warehouse's very own Run with Rafi and Friends website.
So what makes this year's group of runners so special?
Well, it's really a melting pot of all our staff Australia-wide. We've got floor staff, we've got pharmacists, we've got interns, we've got people from head office. And I was looking at the list last night. There was one, the king of wellness himself, our very own Mr. Darcy, is missing off the list. I'm sure that's an oversight. So it's time to get out with the real people, Luke, and get on the road, and I hope to see you at the start line tomorrow.
Very hard to say no tomorrow, as you well know, Jack. And congratulations to the House of Wellness team for all of the effort and the amount of Ks they've put in. The Run for the Kids is one of the great events on the program. I'm just not a runner these days, Jack, post-footy.
You've probably done enough in your time. Well, there are the runners, of course, and the walkers pounding the pavement for Run for the Kids. There is another major event underway, and it is the Melbourne Fashion Festival, where the models will be strutting their stuff. It's all about the hottest in Aussie design, and Jade Kisnorbo has given us a front row seat.
I'm at the Melbourne Fashion Festival, where a parade is about to happen. But first, come with me for a sneaky behind the scenes of a true fashion show. And the tour starts here at the House of Chemist Warehouse, where you're guaranteed to get a taste of getting catwalk ready. This is where you step into a world where every corner is a canvas of experiences, and you are taken on a journey that blends health, wellness and beauty with Melbourne's iconic fashion culture, with my first stop being the nail bar. Tell me, what's on trend right now in nails?
Right now, it's really about customisable shades. The OPI Your Way was really designed, and that concept was kind of brought to life based on that. What it does is it allows consumers to purchase their products, paint it and glaze it, and then really personalise their own options to get ready each day.
And what's a key signature nail polish?
Well, when you look at OPI nail lacquers, there's so many available, and we're a salon polish, so you go in, you pick your favourite colours. Some of mine are Funny Bunny and a big red apple. So
Funny Bunny I have worn, I think, probably over 5 years.
Love it.
As a makeup artist who has worked backstage both internationally and here in Australia, I love achieving a natural look, but this also has to involve great teeth, easily achieved in the powder room. When I'm working behind the scenes in the exciting but often fast-paced world of fashion, well-being always has to be on the agenda. So House of Chemist Warehouse offers a wellness space where you can literally feel the tranquility. Tell me more through Melbourne Fashion Week, what Wellco is doing here.
It's amazing, isn't it? The idea is that those that are out in the hustle bustle of Melbourne Fashion Festival have the ability to come into this space, calming, relaxing, take a moment to themselves. And then we're also offering a sample of our iconic greens powder, the Super Elixir, in two of our most popular flavours, which is Original, which is a pineapple and lime flavour, and Blood Orange. And anyone that comes in here can try those two flavours for themselves and take it away.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. I always love to shop for products for my makeup kit, whether I'm travelling to places like New York or I'm here in Melbourne. So let's go and check out what's new in the retail space. So Manicare is such a trusted beauty brand, and most recently the range that I really love is the Manicare Salon range. Tell me more about that.
It's such a great range to bring affordable tools to everyone, regardless of budget and time constraints. We've got something to target all the major skincare concerns like anti-aging, cleansing, pores and cellulite.
Okay, so you've had a sneak peek into my world. Now it's time for me to take my seat, hopefully front row.
The beauty of cooking is it transports you to different places, cultures and cuisines. And today we're going to Brazil via my Brazilian hot beef recipe. The marinade is where you'll find all those punchy flavours. Coconut milk, tomato paste, curry powder, ginger. Can't forget the staples, garlic, salt and pepper. I'm using lean, grass-fed beef cubed into bite-sized pieces. Beef is rich in protein, vitamins and minerals. Marinate in the mix for at least 20 minutes to get maximum flavour. Sauté the veggies so all their caramelised goodness carries over to the meat. Now the beef has absorbed all those sweet, earthy flavours from the marinade, it's time to cook. A light sear will do it, and you're ready to serve. Start with a bed of onion and capsicum and top with the beef. This is one of those hearty, full-body meals that's comforting and warms the soul. Deliciosa. Get Nourish is brought to you by Swiss Wellness. Support strong, healthy bones and help maintain bone mineralisation with Swiss Ultiboost Vitamin K2.
I don't know about you, Joe, but that Brazilian beef that Zoe's cooking really got my taste buds going. You and I love a good steak.
Mate, I love a steak.
Yeah.
I can't ever say no to a ribeye.
Yeah, but don't forget the veggies.
Oh, absolutely. No, I always like to do a deal with myself. You have to have twice as much veggies on the plate as the meat, right? And I personally think broccoli, unsung hero of vegetables.
Yeah, bring on the brassicas, I say. A bit of cauliflower, some Brussels sprouts, why not? But hey, I've got a really good broccoli fact for you.
Oh, hit me with it.
Some brand new Aussie research has shown that broccoli might be good not just to treat, but also to prevent blood clots and strokes.
Plus, it's packed full of antioxidants, which is perfect for your skin, of course. And here's Sarah Davidson with some more tips for ageing gracefully.
Healthy ageing is a part of life, and while we love the knowledge and experience that comes along with it, many of us don't love the impact it has on our skin. Introducing Nature's Way Beauty Ultimate 7, an ingestible supplement that helps target the 7 key skin concerns in healthy ageing with 7 active ingredients. First up, the benefits. It contains a clinically trialled ingredient that helps reduce fine lines and wrinkles, plus that helps skin firmness, elasticity, texture and tone. Encourage healthy, glowing skin through the support of skin hydration and regeneration. 2 tablets daily deliver the plant power of sweet orange, pomegranate, centella and cistanche extracts, a botanical blend appropriately named Eternal Young. The formula is complemented by other skin-loving nutrients like collagen, zinc and vitamin C. As a result, 75% of women said fine lines and wrinkles were less visible and 89% said skin looked firmer. It doesn't take the wisdom of age to understand that healthy skin has such a big impact on our confidence. And whatever that number of age may be, we all deserve to feel good in our skin.
It's going to be a big weekend. Of course, Run for the Kids takes over Melbourne's streets this Sunday. And today is the start of Harmony Week, which, Jack, always makes me feel full of love and joy.
I agree. It's all about diversity and inclusion. And you, of course, wear the colour orange, but in Japan, you wear the colour pink.
Jack, where it is the Cherry Blossom Festival, and that sea of colour and the festivities that go along with it attract millions of visitors from around the world to Japan for a beautiful time of year.
And the Japanese word for cherry blossom, as you all know, is sakura.
Absolutely, yep.
And
all over it.
And these particular cherry trees, they don't produce edible fruit, but their spectacular blossom, which is a Japanese obsession, is used in their cooking. I was lucky enough to be there one season. It is superb.
Becoming a really popular destination, Japan. I know you've been there a lot recently, Jack. Yeah. That's all we've got time for today. Thank you to Joe, Jack and Dr. Nick. Great to be with you again on the House of Wellness.
Check out House of Wellness Radio with Luke Hines and Gerald Quigley every Sunday.
Good luck to everyone doing the run for the kids, especially the team from Chemist Warehouse. That's bye for now.